We're here. We're live. Trail Talk Live, news and banter show, first of its kind. The reimagining of the original panel show is back nearly at our 12-month anniversary here, Ricki. We're nearly a year old with the show. So it was time for a panel show. We're doing it live. You know, it is what it is. Let's go for it. So thanks everyone for joining us. Good to see you, Ricki. How you keep it?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm looking forward to having a chat. And I know we have some cool guests coming on, so I'm looking forward to talking to her as well.
We've got a packed agenda. In fact, I don't even know if you've got the latest agenda, so there might be a few surprises in there for you. But for the viewers, we've got a lot to cover. The news and banter, that's racing, that is just the stuff that's happening in the world of trail and ultra, and a few other bits and pieces. We also have a couple of guests coming in throughout the show for certain segments, so stay tuned for that. And also remember, stick questions down in the chat or over in the chat, depending on what your screen orientation is. And as long as they're topic specific, as in don't be asking us, Ricki, how was your porridge this morning? If we're talking about something and you've got a question, shoot it in the chat. I'll check it every now and again to see if we can get back to you. So quick shout out to the sponsors, TORQ Nutrition and GOREWEAR. Discount codes in the description. That's all I need to tell you. They're good discounts. And also a shout out to the WhatsApp Trail Talk community, Ricki. There's a bit of news and banter goes on in there every day, right?
Every day. I don't know how many members we're up to now, but like the chat is mental. It's full on. It's full on every day. It's like I move away from my phone for 10 minutes and I've nearly lost the conversation because it's that busy. But it's brilliant. It's going really well.
Needs to be left on mute and you go in whenever you need to check something or you've got the time or you're sitting on the toilet or whatever your WhatsApp time is. Do not join the Trail Talk WhatsApp community and leave unmuted. It's not going to work out well for you. Just to move on from there then, you've got a race coming up. It's like 2 weeks from
2 weeks.
last Saturday. So give the audience a bit of a rundown. It's Tullymore Ultra, which is in the Mourne Mountains in Northern Ireland, north of Ireland, whatever your flavour. Give us the stats. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, like it is an ultra, but it's not a mountain ultra. It's in the Mourne Mountains, but it's a pretty flat, let's say what we call flat. There's 1,200 meters of climbing. It's a loop course, so it's a half marathon loop. I do 3 loops, end up with about 63 kilometers, something like that, 1,200 or 1,300 meters of climbing. So it's definitely going to be fast. You know, there's going to be, and it's on the sort of course that's going to suit a lot of trail runners, but also road runners. So there's going to be a mix of trail v road runners. So it should be fun, like, you know. It's like a blowout for me. It's the last race of the year. I just wanted to go out with one more race before wrapping up the season. And I wanted to jump in the Wicklow Way. I got sick, just wasn't feeling it, and really didn't want to put myself into a hole of a 127-kilometer race. So I just pivoted and saw that Tullymore was there. It's a race that I did about 6 years ago, I think.
Is that when it was? I was wondering how long ago it was that you ran that.
Yeah, and I'm just interested to see. Like, I think I was 5th, didn't really know what I was doing. My time wasn't bad, like it wasn't bad.
Was it?
But it was 5:37, so it wasn't
Yeah,
bad, like, you know.
the times haven't changed. I was looking through the results just to give myself a bit of a picture of it, and it looks like a 5 flat would probably win it. It certainly would have won it in all the last sort of 4 years. Well, a 5:30 back then was probably, what I'm saying is the field hasn't changed that much. I think maybe the quickest time I saw was Tim Brownlee, who's like a 24-hour international runner and stuff. He's certainly got good legs. So must be aiming for a 5 flat.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm looking for something like average kind of pace 4:54 per kilometer, you know, something like that that's going to have me in around, I think 5:02, 5:03, something like this, you know, because I know that Gareth King, he had a really fast time on it, like 5:06. He literally ran 2:21 in the Dublin Marathon yesterday. So like they're the kind of lads that are banging out those kind of paces, like, you know, really fast road runners. So it's just going to be interesting to see what new and improved Ricky is against young Ricky, you know, or maybe I'm going to have a shit show.
Well, I mean, you're probably going to miss Super Crew. I mean, this is your first race since the Super Crew was there to help you and fill your bottles and pep talk you and pat you in the back and stuff. So I know you'll miss me for the race, but I think you'll do all right.
Definitely.
Ricky's all right is probably the win. Right, let's move it on. Golden Trail World Series finale. The season review is up on YouTube. Shit hot. It's a good view. I sat down last night and watched it. It was an hour, just nearly an hour long, and it was just really well produced. Was, you know, they're showing us the on the live stream the pixelated stuff because of the bandwidth limitations. But we're getting to see all of this content in full HD. It's just class, and they condensed the whole season for men and women into this 1 hour. That was just great viewing. Have you caught it yet?
Unfortunately not, man. It's pretty full on for me at the minute, and I know it's there and it's waiting for me. But like that, I'm actually itching to watch it because, look, if it's one thing the Golden Trail Series do is they do serious content after races. So after the series finale, that's got to be savage. That's got to be mega epic to watch.
Let's have a chat about the season or the finale itself. My kind of gut thinking is I wasn't fussed on the location, but I kind of thought the course looked good. We saw people in the WhatsApp community kind of, you know, dissing on bits and pieces of the course. I think it kind of had everything. Like, it had good runnable trail, it had single track, it had slippy, like off trail kind of descents, it had super steep bits. So I actually think the course was good. I think maybe the weather didn't make it as beautiful viewing. And like the prologue and stuff, like the weather was horrendous, but kind of liked it and I didn't like it. The whole premise of the flower system, this kind of different loops with the same start point, is to enhance spectator kind of view time. I kind of felt a little bit flat, I thought, from spectators. So maybe that's the location that they held it in. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that and maybe the weather as well, because the weather wasn't great, you know, so maybe that kept some people away. But I liked that format, and I did like that course, and I did like the fact that the weather wasn't great, because it made the ground super mucky and even more tricky. So like their athlete skill set needed to be on point. They needed to be like at their best. And I thought it made for some very exciting racing, especially up at the front, you know, between like Remy, Eloise, all these guys, you know, it was showing their skill set like at the forefront, you know. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. Stuck a poll up on the gram asking like what people thought of the season. Actually, it wasn't a poll, it was a question. And the feedback I was getting was that there were some highlights like Killian, Sears and Al finish, which is, I think it might be the best race finish I've ever seen in my life. It was just amazing. And then the Zagama, Sears and Al double, elbows out from the camel, and a few other bits and pieces. But I was also getting messages about people saying, like, it wasn't as good as last year. So some people like were super into it and thought, yeah, there was great highlight races. And some people were, as a season, it kind of was a bit flat. I don't know. Thoughts on why it may have come across that way? Is it the lack of the Euro stars? I mean, the African runners really did well this year.
Yeah, I actually think it, because Killian's not racing in as many of those races, you know, and I think Killian's a huge draw for most people. Everyone wants to see the GOAT running. And people were also thinking that maybe Remy wasn't on form, and it wasn't that we're getting the excitement of Remy, but like, take nothing away from the African athletes, and especially Eloise. Like, you know, maybe these guys aren't fan favorites, you know, and that's why people aren't getting as excited about it. But I mean, they're banging out faster times than what were done last year. You know what I mean? It's definitely as exciting, if not more exciting. And like, some of those finishes this year were insane. There's no way there was a race last year that had a finish quite like that elbow. Like, that elbow, I thought that was one of the best finishes in any sport, in any race done in 2024. That was definitely the highlight of the season for me, to as a spectator watching the sport. It was awesome, and the controversy it threw up after the race and everything. So for me, I'm giving the Golden Trail Series a massive 2 thumbs up. You know, so I'm all for it.
I think it's the African runners and the season that they had there really sets things up well for next year. We'd have a fucking brilliant season next year. Joylin, the new runner, she says that she's committing to the season next year. And have you heard her story? It's freaking mad. She lost 30 kilograms. So she used to run at school. She left school at 16 or something like this. 2016 it was. I'm not sure what age she was. So she did steeplechase and cross country at school. She was pretty good, she said. And then when she left school, she didn't run. She got married. She had kids. Then her husband left her. So I'm going to read this quote. "My husband left me, and I was left alone with 2 children. At the same time, I saw friends winning races and coming back to buy houses in Kenya, building beautiful homes. So in 2022, I decided to return to running." And she lost 30 kilos in weight in 1 year. And her strategy for doing this, no, we're not going high fat, low carb. We're not doing Weight Watchers. Her idea was, well, I'll just run 40K a day until I'm down to the weight. I mean, if only I thought that years ago. I'd be a machine.
Yeah, but
What?
how big of a machine is this woman? You know, I've seen some strange things from athletes from these countries, because I don't want to sound like they're not educated in the way that we are, as in towards the science of running, hydration and stuff like this. But I remember watching something about Breaking 2, and it was Elliot Kipchoge, and there was other guys in there, and I can't remember their names, but they were like half marathon world record holders and stuff like this. And they didn't know anything. They didn't understand that if you drank some water in a half marathon, it would probably help you. You know, they didn't seem to realize that, you know, but they were that good. They didn't need it, you know. And like, look, that is not how normal people lose weight, by running 40K a day. And if the average person, or you and me, even decided to do that tomorrow, it would cripple us, break us, and finish our running careers. You know, what a beast. What a beast.
Yeah, I wonder, did she get the 40K or did she have to build up to it? It just seems nuts, but like, excited to see what she can do with just the experience that she's got from racing and fucking killing it this year, to be honest. So I think that's exciting. But look, we got to move on. Ali Ostrander, steadily improved all year. I think that was cool to follow, like incremental improvements. And if you kind of think back a few years ago, that's what you sort of saw. You saw the Salomon youth coming through, and then they would do a couple of races, and then their first full season, and then another season, and maybe that second season or the third season, they just, I'm David McNeely, and I'm on Killian's heels here on the climb. That's the sort of stuff that you started to see. So kind of interested to know what's this experience going to do for Ali O next year. Like, she was never, this actual year, she'd never run like a 30K trainer run before. So
No,
it's kind of cool.
And she's super fun. I think she's super fun to follow. Like, she's good fun on social media. She doesn't take herself too serious. She's in it for the laughs, but she's also in it to compete, you know. And like, look, we all know she's a fantastic track and road runner, but it's it's going to be interesting to see how much more she's going to improve next year. You know, she seems like she's hungry for it. She seems like she's committed to it. So yeah, definitely. And like, she's exciting. She's brilliant for the sport. I'm again huge fan of her. Like, huge fan.
Yep, Pat in the chat is just referencing the big elbow. Yep, Ricky's an elbow fan here. Next thing that we got to mention here before we move on from Golden Trail is what a season Elisine has had. Now, we talked about this in the WhatsApp, and we're not going to go down that route because I got crucified for that, so we're not giving it YouTube airtime. But the guy has just, in the past 18 months, in terms of Golden Trail, just went rocket to the top. Like, what a year. You couldn't have done it better. But also a really interesting racer. Like, it's fun to watch him.
Like, definitely a very, very strategic racer. Like, he loves the surge. He loves to sit back. He loves to let you think you're winning the race, that you're leading the race, and then he'll make this burst. He'll be on your shoulder. He'll move ahead. He'll sit back. He'll let you do the work. And then eventually, when he feels like it's time to go, he'll go. But man, can he go downhill fast. Like, his descending is, I say it, better than Killian? Better than Killian. I think he's incredible. Even in the final there, he was going down a seriously technical and very, very slippery trail. And I mean, he was soaring. He was absolutely soaring. Incredible.
How do you do that in those shoes in the Sherag? Like, it's not like he had the confidence to bond down there because he had Ricky wins 7 mil lugs. He was going down there in 4 mil lugs or something. I don't think, from what I could see, that he was wearing the Zagama prototype. So that was just incredible. Like, the foot speed was unreal.
But even the difference between him and Remy going down that last descent, like, the difference was Remy was like, you know, like most of us, like having, and Remy is highly skilled, right? But he was still having to like almost stop to go around the tight sort of chicane. And he was,
Grabbing the bush.
He was exactly, you know, he was trying not to fall on his hole. Whereas Eloise was just running, no problem staying on his feet, you know, no like slipping, no falling, no nothing. Like, insane, like balance or whatever you want to call it. But like that, in that terrain, I don't care what you're wearing on your feet. Most of them, if you're only wearing 4 or 5 mil lug, it's got to be filling up with dirt and muck, and the grip is got to be pretty useless. So I don't know how you do that. And people, like, I know what you were talking about earlier on, and all about in the chat what we were talking about, and some people might say, he's got to be on something or doing something. I don't know, man. Whatever you take, it does not make you run down a hill like that. It doesn't matter what you're taking. It's insane.
Then you weren't meant to say it. I might get crucified now. I wasn't suggesting it, for the record. I never suggested it. That's all I'm saying. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. Just because you say something doesn't mean that it exists or it's true. So it's not a thing. I feel like there's more I could say in Golden Trail, but I'm looking at the time. We've got a schedule to keep, so we're moving on. And I like a fast-paced show, so we're moving. This is coming up. I want to just touch on the Mallorca UTMB event is about to drop. First year of it, inaugural year. Existing event was already there. The 5,000s route, which is 69k, 4350 meters. Technical route. Like, if I was interested in doing that race, that's like a modern classic. I think it maybe had 5+ iterations before this, but I looked up the entries, and Dakota Jones is on the entry list. Bob Farbird, Bard Predizinski, the Solomon dude. I fucked his name up the last time I said it on the show, so got it right. And Damien Humbert, who he's listed as a New Balance athlete, and I think he used to race in Invade or something. French guy, but anyway, he's got the highest index score. An interesting thing about that course is the last high point is Tomer, which is the namesake of the normal shoe. So be interesting to see how that goes. A couple of people in the Trail Talk community are over for that race. What do you think? Do you fancy that one?
Yeah, definitely. And I see, I only seen it there before I came on, that there's a ton of like high profile UK runners going over as well to race and that. Like I know Harry Jones is there. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but the list is long from the UK. So there's some very, very good athletes with like 800 plus scores heading over there as well. So it's definitely going to be competitive. Like it's going to be really competitive for the first iteration of it as a UTMB race. It's going to be super competitive. And the vert, it does look like a proper mountain ultra. Like I mean, it's a proper technical hardcore mountain ultra. So it's definitely one I would like to do maybe next year or something like that. Yeah, definitely.
I think like a 70K at this time of year is kind of appealing. A 69K, you're going and doing a 63 or 64K, did you say? So, I mean, different types of courses, but it's a nice distance to like get a wee running before the end of the year.
That's the thing. Like, it's really hard to find a race this time of the year that's not on the other side of the world as well. Like that's a pretty accessible race for us here in Europe, and it's in November. And I think November is a brilliant time to have an ultra, like because you can do it and you can still recover over Christmas and get ready to go at it again hard in 2025. In the new year. So like, I'm all for a November ultra. Like there used to be more November ultras here in Ireland, and I used to always do them, but now there's very few. Like that's why I'm heading up to Tollymore, to run a pretty, let's say, flat race. I'm excited about it, but if there was something with more vert, maybe a little bit further as well, I'd be jumping in on that all day long. Yeah.
On the Tollymore thing, it does no harm doing something that needs a bit more leg speed at this time of the year. Whenever at peak season you're doing stuff like TDS, so makes sense. Before we close the book on the Mallorca, the 100-mile distance, Pablo Villa is the top seed, and third seed, everyone will know Josh Wade, the North Face runner. Yeah, people are getting their tickets, stamping their book for UTMB finale in August, which it was always going to be a thing. Yeah, let's move on to this next one. Kulamanen, said it right. And where is it?
Sweden.
Sweden, right, okay. You raced it a few years ago, right?
2 years ago, I think. Yeah.
How did you do?
I was seventh, I think. I think seventh, maybe eight. Geez, it was 7 or 8 because I was joined with my brother. My younger brother did it with me, and we were 7 or 8 or 8 or 7. Can't really remember. We ran it together, we finished it together. Great race. Slightly changed the course from the year I did it. The year I did it, it went from, what is the name of the town? Let's say it went from north to south. They've switched the direction now. And the time I did it, you got a load of flat running, loads and loads of flat running at the start, and then you got about 1,200 meters climb at the end. Whereas in this time around, you're getting the climbing early and all the fast running out of the way. Weather is what this race is all about because it's a nighttime race, and the year I did it was freakishly warm, which is not normal, and it was dry. So I got a very good year for it, whereas in last year I think it was loads of rain and it was just a swamp and a muck fest. So that's what they'd be hoping for. They wanted to be miserable. They wanted to be miserable.
Yeah, it has a reputation for being like a wet or like an unpleasant weather race, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like it's in the depths of winter in Sweden. It's supposed to be horrible. But I got very lucky. The year we did it, it was like 9 or 10 degrees all night long, and it was a beautiful, clear night. It was perfect. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so looking at the entries for that, Ingvild Kaspersen is not the top seed, but I think she's 6th seed in the 100K, which is interesting. She won the 50K last year, a few months after CCC. So the fact that she's doing the 100K Kulamanen, I wonder because the elites can go up a distance. whenever they then go to the finale? Is she thinking of doing the 100-mile UTMB, or is she just going to, is she just using this as a 100K experience? That will be interesting, but no doubt she will do very well at that. She's just a class act.
Yeah. Like you said, it's this time of year. I think if someone is jumping into a race like that, I think they're trying to get their automatic place into UTMB or into CCC. So whether it's CCC or UTMB, she's looking for, either one she'd do really well in, but it'd be class to see her in UTMB. Yeah, she's deadly. And I would say hot favourite to win the Coolman and 100K, 100%.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree with you there. So last race we'll have a chat about here before we let in our first guest is Ultra Trail Cape Town. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. World Trail Majors event. It's not something we talk about too much. I wonder why, but Peter Engdahl and Dan Jones are running 100K. And think, okay, let's hope Peter gets through it without an ankle roll. There's one thing. And then the other thing I just want to maybe highlight is what a season Dan Jones is having. But you hear this, right? This year, 4 wins, 3 seconds, 4 fourths. Right? What a legend.
And like running serious volume. I mean, serious volume. Like, but look at the companies he's keeping. This last 2 seasons, I think that he's just upped this game. He's getting in with some unbelievable athletes like Hayden Hawks. He's training with him a shit ton. You know what I mean? And like they say, iron sharpens iron. Like, these lads know how to train. They know how to race. And Dan Jones, yeah, big fan. I'm a big fan. I met him over in Chamonix. I was out for an easy run. Met him. Big fanboy moments, I can't get enough of this guy. I think he's incredible, and I'm delighted to see him do well, so he's going to have
You like this on the selfie with your arm around him?
There was no selfie. He's too tall, man. I'd have to jump up on a wall or something. He's a tall man.
All right, look, let's park the news. We've got stuff to come back to. We'll come back to it later. Let's let in our first guest, Rebecca Horman, ultra runner, a Yank living in the UK. I think living in the UK, certainly been living in the UK for a while. And we need to talk a little bit about your favourite, sarcasm, your favourite race format, Ricki, the backyard ultra, right? So let's let Rebecca in and see how we go. Hey, Rebecca, welcome to Trail Talk.
Hi, guys.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. I haven't seen Ricki in ages. It's nice to see him. How's it going? I mean, I saw you earlier.
Screen. That is true. So we brought you in on the show because you have relevant backyard experience. Before we go into there, go down that route. And what made you want to do this, like the backyard format? You've been winning ultras in England. Everything you've flipping entered, you come away with first place. So what made you just try the backyard format?
So I ran my first backyard in 2022. So the reason I ran it actually all kind of goes back to when I was living in Belfast. So I used to run loops around Cave Hill. And I know you guys have probably both ran your standard Cave Hill loop. And I just started running them over and over and over again. I was like, you know what? I can get into this whole loop concept. And then Karen Nicol, who used to hold the female GB record for backyards before Sarah Perry took it, she ran a backyard over in Northern Ireland. And I was chatting to her about it, and I was like, it's a weird concept, but I kind of like this idea of running in circles. And then I thought, I'll give it a go. So I ran my first backyard over in Sherwood Pines with Rasselbach. Yeah, and then it's one of those races where, and I hear this all the time from people, you either love it or you hate it. So I get people who say, complete respect, but that seems like a waste of time, or there's not enough adventure to it. And then you get people who they really lock into it. So it's kind of, and I have a love-hate relationship with it myself, to be honest with you. Sometimes I hate it completely and sometimes I absolutely adore it. Yeah, so it kind of, honestly, it just started with running loops around Cave Hill. That's kind of where it all began.
So yeah, just for the audience. So yeah, just for the audience benefit, we are connected via your time in Belfast because you were there for a period of time and you joined my fell running club, but I was never in the country. I had moved away, but still part of that club. So that's how I knew of you. I was seeing this stuff through on the club WhatsApp and stuff, and then we got connected from there. But onto the backyard thing. So I stuck up a poll on Instagram after the team title was confirmed by Belgium, asking people because just from the WhatsApp chats that we were having in the Trail Talk community, it was kind of divided. People were interested, not interested. What's this? That was the three buckets. And the poll results, I mean, we got a lot of votes on it, and 56% of people said they were interested, and 32% said not interested, and then 12 were like, what is this? There's kind of like a real kind of spectrum of interest with the backyard format. And I think it's important just to gloss over a few things. A yard is a loop. And that is 6.7k or 4.16 miles. And you do one loop on the
that's
R
correct.
every hour, right? Can anyone hear my dogs?
Yeah.
Can anyone hear my dogs? It's fireworks season. It's fireworks season. So apologies about that. So you appeared. You did a backyard team, qualified you for a team. How did that come? How did that come?
So the way it works is each country can have a team for the backyard. You can have 15 runners on the team, and that will be your top 15 runners in the country. So obviously different countries kind of have different standards, really. Obviously, like the US team, you know, to qualify for that team, you're going to have to be running 60 plus yards because it's so competitive. In the UK, it got quite competitive as well. You know, it was 36, 38 yards up. I ran for the Swiss team. So I needed at least 32 yards to qualify. It wasn't really always the goal. It was kind of the goal at some points, and then I'd fall out of love with the backyard, and then I'd fall back in love with the backyard. But yeah, at one point I was like, you know what, I'll get my at least 32 yards, get myself on the team, and then make a decision if I want to run for the team. But that's kind of how it works. It'll be your top 15 runners in each country. It's a bit weird on like who can run for a country. So for example, on the Swiss team, the champ, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So the Swiss champ, he's not Swiss. He's lived in Switzerland for 10 years. So it's a bit wishy-washy. It kind of goes on residence a little bit. For example, I was invited to run for the England team at the, I think it was like the Four Nations event or whatever, England, Wales, Scotland and Ireland when they run together. But that's just because I live in England. I don't have a British passport. So the rules are a bit kind of funky. I know backyards are kind of still figuring out where they kind of stand and how things work. But yeah, so top 15 runners for each country.
So you went and you ran in the Swiss team, and the Swiss team was 17th. Maybe we start off with the top three. Belgium, Australia, USA, Switzerland were 17th, and for the sake of our viewers, Ireland 37th and UK 13th. Not sure why I put them last, but I think it was an afterthought checking that result.
Good. I'm kidding.
Tell us a bit, what was your experience like of the actual event?
It's such a cool event. I don't really know any other events that are really like it in that sense, because every single country, and I would have to double check how many countries were running. You might know the stats better than I do, but there were quite a few countries running, and it's cool because we're all running. We all start at the same time, no matter where you are in the world. You start at the same time. So some country might be starting at 2 a.m. Other countries might be starting at midnight. We're kind of lucky. My race started at 2 p.m. And I think in the US it started at 8 a.m. So, but the concept is so cool that you're running with your team, but you're also running with everybody around the world, which is really, really neat. So my experience was a bit it was a bit different because I live in the UK, I live in England. So I didn't know the Swiss team. I only knew them through like group chats and stuff like that. And we're such a mixed pot because in Switzerland, as you'll know, you have French, you have Italian, you have Swiss German. And some people don't speak all three languages. And then you've got your kind of wild cards who like myself, who I've got a Swiss passport, but my Swiss German is not a thing. So we're all coming together, and then you've got some of the guys are German and they've lived in Switzerland their whole life, and so it was just this fun language barrier where we're trying to communicate. I was speaking Spanish to the Italian speakers, and you communicate with a lot of like high fives and fist bumps and stuff like that. So it was such a unique experience in that way, but it's just really cool. Everybody's goals are different. Because you'll have guys on the team who their personal best is 27 hours. So, it's tough to push it on a backyard. I know the concept, run 4 miles every hour on the hour. It sounds really simple. It's not. It's really, really tough after a while. But everybody's all just celebrating everyone's achievement, whether you're running 30 hours or 50 hours or 80 hours or whatnot. So it's kind of like a big celebration of everyone's successes in a way. It was just really good fun.
What is the experience like of actually tracking? Because there's like Glas has this Google Sheet with all of the updates going into that. So what's that? How aware are you of that during the event?
I wasn't really. You kind of, when you're running, you're kind of just, as you'll know, when you're running an event, you're just completely focused on the event, really. Obviously, I finished and they were some countries ran for ages afterwards. And it's one of those things where after a while, you get used to checking in every hour. Because obviously it's rhythmic in that sense. Like nothing's going to happen other than every hour on the hour. But yeah, the whole spreadsheet concept was quite interesting, and some of the bits and bobs I still don't really understand, because you're like racing your seed as well, like the different seeds you're competing against them in each country. Yeah, that spreadsheet was, I checked it loads, but I still don't completely understand it.
It's really complicated. It's massive. It's really complicated. I didn't go into it in great detail, but it doesn't seem like a LAS type of thing. But I guess, you don't marry him up with amazing spreadsheet abilities or whatever. But don't judge a book by its cover. What was the Belgian team? They stopped together because they could have kept going, but they were just racing each other at this point, and it's a team competition. And they ended up doing, was it 110 yards loops, which is 457 miles or 337 kilometers over 4 days, 14 hours, something like that. So absolutely nuts. I would be destroyed. Not saying I would get that far, but if I was just doing that until I could do it no longer, that would absolutely wreck me. How do you feel like the recovery thing is with the backyard ultra? Because it's not exactly. It's unique.
Yeah,
it's unique. It's fast. It's slow. It's whatever way you want to do the loop.
First of all, just want to comment on what you're saying about a team. It's the Belgian team. They're a team, and I think people a lot of the time, especially for the satellite event, they forget that. And in backyards in general, it's that weird concept of you're running by yourself, but you're running together. You need each other. And I think Belgium, they've really grasped that. And they understood it at last World Champs, and they understood it at this World Champ, and they understand that there's strength in numbers, and can see it in the way they finish. They're very like Forrest Gump, like, yeah, we're tired, we'll go home now, and it's that strength in numbers. I think their whole team made it to 48 hours. How crazy is that? But anyway, there's a lot to, for future backyarders and world champs to figure out this whole team concept. I forget what your question was.
I probably do as well, but are you got a plan on the target this? It's every 2 years, so will you plan? Are you thinking, I got to do this again? need to give a different account to myself at this type of format, or have you experienced it and you're happy to move on?
My personal best is 36 hours, mere 36 hours, if you compare it to some of the numbers that people have ran. And I felt that my performance at World Champs was not what I wanted. So I actually left kind of disappointed in it. I had a lot of self-doubt going into it and a lot of imposter syndrome and whatnot. And I didn't perform the way I wanted to. My course was basically all tarmac, and pounding pavement for 100+ miles, it ruined me in a way that I'd never experienced before. Because normally I hit the trails, but that kind of left me with more goals essentially. So I used to joke around I was going to retire after World Champs. I'm not retiring. I need to run another backyard. I will run another backyard next year. But with a hill, I'd like it to have a hill, because I can't do the flat for that long. You're just pounding the same muscle groups far too long, and my body wasn't there for it. And I remember what your question was before in terms of recovery. This is the toughest recovery I've had from a backyard. And I think it's because I think in previous backyards, it was different terrain. It was softer. There were hills. And I was just kind of divvying up the pain and the suffering, just like, the use on my body in different ways. And this one, it just hasn't been that way. So I'm sorting through like niggles and fatigue that I'm just not used to having a week on from an event. I know that's not very long after an event, but I'm just not used to it being this way. So I'm trying to be patient.
Yeah. For Ricki, I'm teeing you up here, because Ricki has a very unique take on the backyard ultra format and how he thinks it could be better. So over to you, Ricki. I mean, put this idea out into the world and see if it has any fans.
I will put it out, but I want to ask. I will put it out, but I want to ask first. I want to ask Rebecca. Like I know Rebecca why we go way back to before you train in the mornings before you actually went and lived in the UK. We had a great weekend running. We did the Mourne Skyline route, and we did the 7-7 as well. So like we had a brilliant weekend run. So I know how good Rebecca is in a A to B race. But I always wonder for you, because you're a racer, right? For you, because you're a racer, right? I look at you like you're a very good racer. A very good racer. I'd like to know what is your strategy in a backyard. Like, how are you gauging those loops? Are you looking at that loop like, I want to get around A to B into that tent and then eat as much as I can, get a few minutes, get the feet up, get a few minutes, or are you gauging it that you just get in and then you cruise on out after? You cruise on out after. I just always wonder how a racer does an event like this. Yeah,
it's a great question. And everybody has their own strategies, really. I wonder how you would do it, to be honest with you. You should run a backyard, see how you get on. Do it. I'll crew you or I'll race you. Yeah, it's actually really funny. They started calling me the Swiss clock. And if you look at my backyard, previous backyards, I like to be exactly the same on every loop. I have timestamps essentially around the course. This point, I have to be this time, this place, this time, this place. And that's how I've always really ran backyards ever since I got more comfortable with them. So I'd like to have like 7 to 10 minutes in between each loop. Plenty of time to have a nap, eat some food, go to the toilet, whatever you need to do. But you get guys who they'll come in with 3 minutes to spare. No worries, they'll sit down for a minute or whatever. But I think the longer you're going to go, the more you need that sleep. But that's the whole game of it, isn't it? Really, it's balancing, pushing your body a bit more and getting that sleep, or easing off and having a bit less time to recover. And the further in you get, you really want that sleep. I get so cranky. I just want to cry if I don't get, my 5-10 minute nap. But everybody's got their own way of doing it. But I like to be like clockwork.
Well, you see, right? This moves me on to the next. The problem I have.
All right.
The problem I have with this, right? I think it's amazing. What some of these people, what you are doing, I think it's like it is deadly, right? How the distance you can go without sleep, and how you can go without sleep. Then I think it just becomes a sleeping competition, and it's like who can go without the least amount of sleep, right? To make it more interesting, each loop gets a little bit quicker. After a certain stage, so after like 10 hours, each loop gets a little bit quicker, so that people can't
so that
be just
people
doing that
can't
whole,
be just
let's
doing
walk
that
it,
whole,
walk it, walk it,
let's
walk
walk it, walk it, walk it, walk
and
as much as
then
you
we
can,
get into the box
and then
with like
we
2
get
minutes
into the
to
box
spare, you
with
know.
like 2
Whereas then
minutes
if
to
you
spare,
just
you know.
shave
Whereas then if you
like
just
30
shave
seconds off
like 30
every couple of
seconds
loops
off
or a minute
every
off
couple of
every
loops
couple of
or a
loops,
minute
it makes
off
it more
every couple of
exciting
loops,
for me
it makes it
watching
more
the event,
exciting for me
because then
watching
it
the event,
becomes
because then it
a
becomes
race.
Yeah, but right, but this is you being impatient and being too competitive. Because that's the whole beauty of a backyard. It just keeps going and going and going and going. And then there's a psychological side to it. You know, you're 48, 50 hours deep and somebody asks you how you feel and you go, oh, I'm feeling great. But actually you're feeling like shit. But the reason you're saying you're feeling great is because your competitor is standing right next to you. So I get your idea, but I think that's quite selfish there. Just let us run. Just let us run or walk. But fair enough. You compose an email to Laz and let me know what he says.
Nah, look, Laz knows more than I know. Laz knows a lot more than I know.
All right, well, we'll nip that in the bud. Ricky, your audio is getting some comments in the chat. I don't know if it's you're getting too excited or not. So, Rebecca, let's wrap this up. What's next for you? It's coming to the end of the year. What are your plans for the next while?
I'm headed off to Asia for a few weeks just to chill, really. Bad timing, really, because the next big thing I've got is the Spine Challenger North in January. So yay, winter training over in Malaysia. That's going to work out well. But no, then I'll get back and that'll really be me in the hills and trying to lug loads of kit around. I don't know. I might find a race to kind of use as a training race in there somewhere. But I am scared shitless of running 160 miles of the Pennine Way. But that's the whole point. So yeah, that's kind of the next big thing for me.
I think that's a great race for you.
I don't know why.
I like the sound of that. That's the sort of thing I think you could do well at. You don't seem to care whether it's mucky or wet or running through a field or running through a forest. I mean, you've done all those types of ultras in that type of terrain, so Pennine Way, and that'll be interesting one. And obviously, you're doing that because the year after you're going to do the full spine.
Okay. Let's start with this first. See, it'll be very traumatic. I'm sure I'll have to, recover. And then what happens is you do it and then the sign-ups come and you panic. You're like, oh crap, I got to put down a deposit on it. And then later you're like, oh no, why did I do that? But we'll see how we go. But yeah, I got to get the training in first and collect all the kit. That's the big issue, honestly. So yeah, pray for me.
Yeah, very cool.
Just before, I want everyone to know. How many races you did this year already? How many races this year? And how many races this year have you actually won? You had another amazing year.
I've had an incredible year. I think this has been my best year so far. This is the year I kind of touched into the 100-mile distance point to point and surprised myself. I feel like I've leveled up this year. I don't know. I'd have to go back and count, to be honest with you. But it's been a really good year. I've been taking home a lot of trophies and it's been such good fun, honestly, such good fun. So
every time I go on Strava and see your run, it's usually a race. And you won. I'm always very impressed, and I always try and send you a message to say congratulations. Yeah, look, I've always been a fan of you, Rebecca. You're a superstar. You're a superstar.
Well, likewise, I've always been a big fan.
Too many wins. Too many wins to count. That's the takeaway here. Too many wins to count.
I have really bad memory.
All right, Rebecca, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really seeing you guys. All right. Bye.
See you, bye. All right, Ricky. I mean, she's very modest, but she did bring out the worst in your audio. So, I mean, I was hearing an echo as soon as Rebecca joined. I'm not sure if there was some sort of three-way loop, but hopefully the dogs weren't too much of a hindrance. I had to mute myself every now and again, and hopefully your echo doesn't come back again whenever we let in our next guest. It feels even wrong to call Krissi a guest. Like she's one of us, but she's coming in because we got some stuff to talk about from the US. So we're bringing Krissi now. Hello, how are you?
Hey there.
We have got an echo again.
Yeah.
You getting the echo?
See, I was getting an echo off you when Rebecca came on. So I was hearing two of you, which is more than enough. And I was hearing two of me, which is definitely too many.
Well, I hate that. And you know what I think the answer to it is? You speak lower. Because you shout. We don't need you to shout. It's already sore my ears. You've got a lovely soft voice. Just don't get too excited. Krissi, it's great to have you back. How are you?
It's great to be back. I'm doing all right. I'm just kind of waiting for winter at this point.
Love this background. Where are you sitting? This is pretty cool. Is that chalk?
Yeah, it is. This is a friend's house. It's a full chalk wall. I've got construction at my house right now, so it's very loud today.
It's very loud where you at your house. It's very busy here. So let's crack on. Javelina, big results. I've said it in the chat that it's not really a race that I follow too much. I kind of want to see the results. I kind of listening to see what's going on. I tuned in a few times to see the quality of the stream and also to see just on the live timing to see who was doing what. And I think that's really the interesting bit. So David Roach, 2 minutes off John Ray's course record, and Riley Brady, 7th overall, 17 minutes off Camille Herron's course record. So it was a pretty good race from what I could see. So, like, take it away. Give us some Javelina scoop.
Yeah, you had Riley leading wire to wire, David almost leading wire to wire. There was a bit where JP Giblin was up there with him and ahead of him. But generally, the two of them really dominated those races. And we saw, I think for men, we saw 4 of the fastest top 10 times, 3 of the fastest 5 times. And for women, not too dissimilar. I think we have also 3 out of the top 5 times. So, you're talking 15 degrees of heat more than last year. Last year it was around 80 Fahrenheit. This year about 99, 100 Fahrenheit, about 38 for all you guys. So that's a Patty O'Leary one for you, straight out of the live stream. So it's kind of crazy, just the progression of the field at Javelina in the 100 in particular, because of the golden ticket race there. You look at these times and you look at something like States and you don't see that anymore because that's already kind of been done there. So to see this progression is really cool. We're looking at David Roth, his first 200s about, were they like 7 weeks apart? And he's going back-to-back wins. One huge course record, one very close, and, not the day for it, most would say. An impressive use of that high carb fueling strategy, despite, maybe a lot of people saying that this was not the day to be doing that. I think, the men's field had your usual couple of blow-ups, couple of micro fades. Jeff McGavro coming second was a stellar result for him. Most people tend to think of him as a mountain runner more than the flat runner. And, he put out there that he had a lot of fun doing this flat training. So it's really cool to see that come together with such a huge performance. Dan Green in third.
One thing I did notice when I tuned in, what do you call he's Indian American. He's running Hoka, Raj Paul. He was way back, I think in like 16th or something. Like he was well off. And then when I checked the final results, he was right up there. Where did he finish? Like top 3, 4, something like that.
Fourth,
yeah. So like he paced it really well because he's like a fast guy. And whenever I did tune in the live stream, they were sort of saying, "Oh, he must be having a bad day. He's so far back." But
yeah,
I know maybe he was just smart.
I think I would have expected him, and he would have expected himself to be in that States contention, that in the ticket talk. He won earlier this year. He won the USATF 100-mile championships. And so you're right. He is that fast speed. He said I think he just had a bad day. He said he made some technical mistakes. He called it in his Instagram, he called it a C+ day. So I don't think he expected to be that far back. I don't think that was a pacing strategy of working his way forward. I think it was more clawing his way back.
And maybe cooler temperatures. And then when it did cool down, he was able to maybe get some momentum going again. Maybe that was it, yeah. Because I know that the first two loops out were extremely hot. Like Paddy O'Leary looked like he was cooking in the live stream. It was that hot, like, And a big shout out, kudos to Paddy as well. He did a great job, representing little old Ireland again. But I would imagine that it was then on the last loop, the temperatures dropped, and he was able to claw back some time.
Are you following it, Ricky? I didn't realize you were tuned in.
As much as I could, like you, in and out, and it's not an easy live stream to follow all day anyway. So you're better off just jumping in and out,
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I would tend to only tune in on live streams if there needs to be international competition, and with it just being US, kind of removes a little bit of the appeal for me. I don't mean it in a negative way. It might sound that way, but I just mean, there's more. If it's just national, it's just not as competitive in the same type of way. But like I think it's a good format for a race, and it does look like such a fun event to do. Like I would love to go and crew it or do a shorter distance and like top up a suntan or something. But
you can get a tattoo. You can get a tattoo in the middle of the race. That's fucking deadly. Can you imagine? Yeah, where'd you get that tattoo? In a race. That's so cool. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah, not during. I wouldn't fancy during it. And then on the women's side, what I love about Riley is just so quiet, unassuming, and goes out and just is quick.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they can be a little bit of a silent killer. I think they still get underestimated oftentimes, just because they come from the East Coast originally. They've been in Banter for a few years, and they've done well, but kind of a bit of a quieter year this year, I would say, and they don't over race, so you're not seeing a ton of results each year. It's a couple quality races.
What did that race look like? I didn't really follow that closely, other than that like dominant victory, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think wire to wire. I think it was taking previous experience in a course like that. Because again, you might call Riley also a bit more of a mountain runner coming from the East Coast, living in the Boulder area. But they've done Javelina the past 100-miler the past 2 years. So you're looking about an hour 10 over last year and 25 minutes over 2022. So I think a lot of it was experience and dialing everything in. And, having Leah Yingling as a pacer never hurts.
And the fact that the temperatures were so hot this year is like, it's shocking, to be honest, whenever the times are still good.
Yeah, I think it speaks a lot to, just the science that's brought into the sport and the experience that's brought into the sport now. There's, so many ways to approach fueling and cooling strategies, and everybody's been practicing now for a few years. So you really are seeing that, kind of experience come to fruition in terms of race results across the field, more than just kind of, hot shot performances.
Yeah. Anything else on Javelina that you want to touch on before we move on?
I mean, just the rest of the top 5, Hannah Allgood also, a really solid year and a huge second place. Lauren Pruitt, solid result as well. This is her, I think, second time at Javelina. She went 4th last year and has just been on a pressure. She's the world's Masters mountain running champion for the women's 40 category this year. And that wasn't that long ago. That was a 34 case, came second in the Mammoth 50K. And so, her breadth for someone who likes long is pretty impressive. I would expect that she'll be looking to get back to states and do better in the same way that Riley is. And I guess just the other thing is both both top two took the tickets very quickly. They were very much, there for that, and they took the tickets, and the States picture is already shaping up.
Yeah, that is cool. Another thing I wanted to touch on from the US scene, it is the US scene. Has anyone looked at the entry list for Cocodona 250?
Holy moly.
Wait do you hear this, right? Courtney DeWalter, Leah Yingling, Micah Thews, Sarah Olstasuski, did I get it right? Ryan Sands, Michael Versteeg, String Bean, and Cook.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we've also got Rachel and Trekken, and for the women's field, and then Lindsay Dwyer, who's a Bay Area killer at the long stuff as well. Dan Green, who just did third at Javelina, is signed up for Cocodona. Garmeyer also
yeah,
going back.
we're not going to, C tier here. We can't give everyone a shout out. No,
Well, I think it shows that like more people are dedicating to this. It's not just Garmeyer going every year. Right? You're starting to get more depth in the 200s or in the US 200s.
yeah. What's the motivation for Courtney doing this? I don't know what it is. Ricky, what do you think?
I mean,
I think it's been a while. I just think it's been a while. I think it's been a while since Courtney's thrown down at a 200, and obviously she's killing it at every other distance, and she probably misses the hurt that a 200 miler is going to give her. I think that's what she's probably missed.
So early in the year, she can still do anything afterwards. She probably did Cocodona and Hard Rock. I mean, nuts as that is. Krissi, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say the same thing. I think it's been a while since, she did something this long. And I think what I'm noticing, especially this year, is the more people that go out and participate, whether, it's crew or pace or spectate, the more people are getting excited about this 200 in particular. It's just what Aravaipa has been able to do in a very short amount of time. It's bringing a lot of interest. And so I think, you add that plus, maybe a little bit more competition than the last time she was doing goods. And it's a different kind of challenge. I think I agree, Ricky.
And then Leah adds an interesting element to the race because she's obviously got a little taste of the super long distance bug from the Lululemon Further experience. So that's going to be really interesting to see how she tackles that. And Finn is also doing it. So like the UTAB people are going to be there in force, crewing and, doing all that type of thing. So I think that's an interesting storyline. And when does Leah have a bad race? She comes prepared and she is really good.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. And she races as well. She's not just there like, oh, I want to get a finish. She'd be looking to take it. She'd be looking to win that race. But it's something that I know she's on the Lululemon thing, but we'd say as a competitive race, this is so new to her as well. So it'll be interesting to see her approach on it. It just makes something like Cocodona 250 more interesting for us as well. See, can she take it to Courtney?
And she'll benefit from Finn's experience this year. He will share that, and that's going to be really important because a lot of the times when you do a 300 the first time, it's just this unknown. That's gonna be a big help. I would think. And then Krissi, Micah Thews is obviously thinking, I don't care who the fuck's showing up. I'm going out there to run 50 something hours or whatever and do my own thing. And that's the mindset she went into this year's race with, and she nearly did it. Like it was kind of unlucky the way her race fell apart, right?
Yeah, I think especially after what happened this year, she's going to be even more motivated to really just, as you said, crush that time goal as well as the competition. She has nothing to lose. This is her jam, and it should make that top three really exciting. And hopefully, it makes it a close race.
Yeah, and Sarah Ostasuski, just won Moab 240. So she's obviously loving the super long distance. I think what we're seeing here is the women's field at Cocodona is going to be like a good, interesting week of live stream to follow. So that's way more interesting than anything I'm seeing on the men's side. Like, there's not even anything there on the men's side. Like, Ryan Sands' internet is that I have zero interest in Ryan Sands doing Cocodona. What do you think, Ricky?
Why? Why have you zero interest in Ryan Sands doing it? Like, why?
I kind of lost interest in Ryan Sands whenever he just DNF'd UTMB every year, and he kept coming back the following year with the same story. You know, that he was, it's like he never learned anything from the DNF. Like, I think if he showed up at UTMB, he would be thinking, I can beat Jim, or I can beat Tom, or whatever, and then he gets wrecked DNFs, and it just happened so many years. On all the years that I was going to UTMB, it was like the same thing happened. So you kind of, I think just through the years of those types of results, I started to feel like he's not at that elite international level. Yeah, good athlete, but that's kind of why I lost a little bit of interest in that. Is that fair? I'm not being a troll here, am I?
I think so. Like, look, he had a brilliant result in Western States. What it seems like maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and like since then, nothing's really clicked for him. And like that UTMB again, for me, I'm a fan of Ryan Sands. I like Ryan Sands. I like some of the stuff that he puts up on YouTube. I like some of those the videos that they do with Solomon and stuff like that, and I'm interested in watching it. But I feel like he's going to Cocodona now is because, like, well, I can't do this one, UTMB, so maybe I'll jump in and I have a chance of winning this one because it's not as competitive as, some of the other ones that we can do. But yeah, I'm with you on that, like, but I'm still interested to see how he'll do at it. Like, I still think there's a chance he can go for the win as well. But again, it's not a race that he's ever done before, and has he done a race where he's gone that distance before? I don't think so. So
I don't. I mean, he did that multi-day thing in Nepal, and then prior to that, how far is that Drakensberg Traverse thing that was a video about on Solomon? But yeah, I know what you mean. He's not known for long distances and stuff. Look, he's a big name. He's a Red Bull guy. He's going to bring some attention to the race for sure, but not sure he will factor in it. But here, I'm all up for it if he can. A couple of other things to touch on while we've got our USA correspondent in the house. There's a couple of big. There's some FKT news, right? Is it next week? It might be next weekend. Jack Kunzel is going for Grand Canyon rim to rim, or is it rim to rim to rim? I'm not sure which one he's going for, but right around the time of the US election, like it might even be the same sort of day. Good way to spend it. So like that's super interesting. Jack only does stuff when he's prepared. I'm sure it'll be a supported attempt. Jim's FKT times for the rim to rim is 2:46, and the rim to rim to rim set on the same run is 5:55, and that is 8 years ago, I think. So it's Jim Walmsley. It's not soft. It's at home. It's definitely not soft. Like, Krissi, what do you think? Do you think Jack has a chance at this?
I think he does. I haven't been able to see what kind of work he's put in for it or what kind of recon or beta he has on his side. I think he has, if you're talking just pure capability, yes, absolutely. I do agree that it's a stout record and it's been attempted since. I think we've seen Zach Miller.
Zach, yeah.
A few other people go for it and, generally fall reasonably short. I don't think we've seen the, I just missed it by a hair. So I think this is one of those FKTs where you have to put it all out there and, risk blowing up. I think it's the only way you get it. I could see him maybe, not getting it on the first attempt, but, learning a lot about the trail and then getting it maybe on the second attempt.
He has been there and done recon already. He'll be well prepared. I think he has got a good chance. I think was he saying somewhere that he's gonna guess his start time to try and make sure he doesn't get into mule train, because there's a certain time of day that the mules are coming in and out of the canyon. So that'll be an interesting one. It's all Strava dark until, he's Strava dark anyway. The first we're gonna know about it whenever it's done. So yeah, I think that's interesting. A couple other things in the FKT news. We'll stay in that region for now. Mike McKnight is 200 miles into the ACT Arizona Trail. FKT, I think it's 750, 740 miles, something around there. I don't know if he's on pace. Does anybody know? I reached out for an update, but it doesn't have that tracker, which is overlaid like we saw on some of the AT record attempts. So, I don't know. I guess that's the type of content you should be putting out. People are doing it on social media. So it'd be nice to know. So, if anyone is watching live and you have any information on this, stick it down in the comments or throw it into the live chat. Just looking at the live chat, and Pat says, "Just love Krissi." So getting some love from Pat Carroll in the chat.
I know.
What more do you want? That's got to make anyone's day. Thank you, Pat. T for that route is 13 days, 3 hours, 21 minutes. Okay, what's the chances? Is Mike going to get this? On how many attempts is this now?
How many is it? How many attempts is it now?
It's either the third or the fourth, right?
I think it's the fourth. Yeah, I think it's the fourth. Shoot or bust, right? It's shoot or bust. But it's annoying. I haven't been able to find out anything about it. I haven't been able to track it. I haven't been able to get updated on it. So when you're not getting updated on stuff like that, my interest for it is somewhere else, because I'm not seeing anything, So look, if he gets it, unreal, yeah, brilliant. But whoever is following him, they could do with helping us out with some stories, man.
Did notice, I know Mike a little bit. He is a super nice guy. He's super friendly, really nice. But I did notice that his Instagram handle has changed through the years, and it's maybe for the past 3 years it's been Low Carb Runner, maybe 4 years, something like that. It's not Low Carb Runner anymore. What is it?
Because I just went to search for it, and I just realized that, and I looked by his name too, and I'm not sure if he's on Instagram right now.
It's Low Carb Athlete.
Yeah.
He's not defined as a runner anymore.
What other sports does he do?
He's a hybrid athlete.
Oh, jeez.
Get it in your bio right now if you're a hybrid athlete. You got to celebrate this. Box jumps on a 50k. Maybe not. So, if Mike gets the FKT and he's obviously doubled down in the hybrid athlete world, this is not good. It's not good for his, I don't know, it's not good for running. If he doesn't get it, I think he needs to focus more on running.
600 burpees. That's the penalty. It's not what they do, those hybrid athletes. They do a lot of burpees.
700, you need to do 1 burpee for every mile of the Arizona Trail. That's what you should do. So he's got 7,500 burpees to do if he doesn't pull through. If I get an update, I'll stick it in the Trail Talk WhatsApp. I have reached out, and I think his wife and what do you call the other guy, Ben Light, are doing some updates. Last bit of USA news. On the FKT scene, Michelino Sonseri and the Grand Teton FKT attempt legal case. I know what it is. So, cut switchbacks And apparently he's been given a citation, and the national parks have said, we are prosecuting. And that comes with $5,000 fine, not a $5,000 run, $5,000 fine, or 6 months in prison. So like they're really serious about this. And for context, 2012, Killian did something similar, but they didn't have signs in place. It wasn't like there wasn't laws. I wouldn't say not laws against it, but it wasn't like as officially like if you do this, you're in the wrong type of thing. So his kind of run preceded this thought about cutting switchbacks. So, like this is really bad publicity for ultra running, terrible for the North Face, who have been on a tear this year. They've pulled all the information about this off their social media. So, Krissi, what's your take on this? Because I know you've got a bit of info here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I disagree. I think it's worse PR for the park system. I don't know that I don't know that this news or information extends beyond running, ultra running, trail running. And I think within our world, it's pretty clear. And my understanding, I think, it's just one switchback. And
One, right?
yeah, and based on the FKT description and being co-signed by Andy Anderson, like pretty much everybody is okay with it except for the park system, because it got, I think, just so much publicity that they felt like maybe they had to enforce something just to make an example out of him. I'm kind of disappointed in North Face for kind of taking it down. Honestly, if I were them, even if it wasn't public, I'd just be like, here, I will give you the $5,000 to pay this fine, because I think that while, we feel very strongly about conserving our trails and, not creating new social trails in the US, this isn't the battle that needs to be fought in that regard.
There was a conversation about this in the Trail Talk WhatsApp, and one person's take on this was the North Face should have known better. Big business, not applying for permits. And I was like, hold on a second. The North Face probably only approved budget for some freelance photographer to go and shoot this guy who's probably his mate to create content, because that's how content works. It's like, you're a good runner, you've got a guy with a camera, you've got a sponsor, we've got some money, let's do a project. I think you've actually nailed it. This is bad PR for national parks. Like, the guy shouldn't have cut the switchback, but like, it's only a fucking switchback.
Yeah.
Well, I think
break this down for me. Is this like when I go for a run and I'm a little bit lazy, and instead of opening the gate, I jump across the gate? Are we talking about something like that? And then somebody wants to put me in jail for jumping the gate? Is this what we're talking about?
I mean, I think that this case, and I'd have to go back and read it again, but I think that what was happening is there were a ton of people on the trail in the way. And so he decided to make, you're talking, if a switchback is like this, maybe he went, how do I do this? He cut it a little bit. I've been like, I don't know, this is not working.
It's your Halloween trick.
But, I think the conversation to me is more, are there too many people using the, park system? Is this a place that, if it isn't permitted, needs to be permitted? Oh, I don't know. I think in the end, it's kind of silly. And I think, personally, as someone who lives in the Tahoe area where Subseri has held a lot of FKTs and where the previous FKT owner is a friend of mine, I think, we all give this to him. And, if we need to crowdfund $5,000 for him, I think it'll happen very quickly.
Yeah, although we shouldn't let the North Face off the hook on that. But
No.
Ricki, it's hard for Euros to comprehend the way things work in America, because, we watched the Golden Trail finale. Did you see the people cutting the corners? Have you ever seen how Elysine passes people? Like, you just take a shorter way around the corner. That's how we race here, because you're allowed to go off trails. In America, you go off trail, you might get shot. I mean, it's like America is down for deregulation, but the rules they do have come down hard on you if you break them. That's kind of my summary of what life is like in America. And maybe that applies to the parks as well. So it's hard for us to relate. Like, we don't, whenever we go into the mountains in the UK or Ireland, there is no trail. Like, our trails don't have a name. It's just like, it might be a sheep track, or maybe it's a livestock or humans or whatever. And the only signs we have is that maybe it's National Trust land, which could encompass like 50 square miles or whatever. So anyway, it's an interesting one. That is all we have time for on the USA scene. So Krissi, we're gonna let you go. I can't believe we've kept perfectly the schedule here. We're only 2 minutes over time for you, but we appreciate you joining, and we're going to see you in the next one. So enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. See you guys soon.
See you, Krissi.
I wonder, is your audio going to be any better now?
Was it bad there?
You're being really soft spoken, so it's hard to tell.
Come on, man. I mean, they're too loud or too softly spoken. What do you want? What do you want?
Don't know. Krissi's still here. She looks like she's frozen for you. Are you still seeing her?
I can see her background.
We'll hide her. There we go. All right. We're going to wrap it up soon, because I think we've probably talked enough. 90 minutes is perfect length. Like, that covers most runs. But I did want to just touch on a couple of bits of news, because we've been talking about it. Cappadocia Ultra Trail. Do you remember this used to be like a premier event? The part of the UTWT. It was like a Austria or Cape Town. It was like one of these events that you saw every year. People were interested in going to. It's got those beautiful, like, hot air balloon region and stuff. It always looks super, like, type of race I think you would probably do really well at. But it always looks like a good event. It happened, and there was just nothing to follow this year. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it timing? Bad marketing? I don't know. It was even lost. It was lost on me. It was like, it was nowhere. You know what I mean? I didn't know where to look for it. I didn't see anything about it. Yeah, crazy, because such a legendary race. Like, yeah, I don't get it. Yeah. Who was in it? Who was even in it?
Well, that's the thing. It didn't attract anyone, because maybe it's because it's not part of it's not a by UTMB event. Probably should be at this point, to be fair. Maybe they decided not to sell, because UTMB have some races that they're about to announce, or maybe they've announced one of them in Turkey. So maybe they offered and didn't, so UTMB have done their own thing. So it's not part of any series. It's not part of the World Trail Majors. It's sponsored by Salomon, who aren't big in the ultra trail scene, if you know what I mean, in terms of covering some of these races. Like, look at Ultra Pyrenea. Salomon are the sponsor there. They don't really promote that event as such. But yeah, in terms of people, well, I mean, who won the 50k? But Dan Jones, of course. Dan Jones. That might be how I know about the event, or the results this year. The only other person I knew across all of the distances was Holly Page, was second in the 60k.
Yeah.
Didn't recognise any other names. So kind of a bit sad, that one.
Yeah, it just went on in the shadows, and that was it. But it's the same with that other Solomon Pernu race. That can get lost as well. There's no real hype behind it. A little bit more than this one, but they kind of get lost. I don't know. They just don't know how to promote those races properly. And that's a shame.
Yeah, well, I think Pyreneo, we see it because it still attracts top-level competitors. We know that Dima is going to show up, and some other names are going to...
Jordi Gamido's usually there. Jordi's a big fan of that race. He always goes there.
Yeah, and it's also, it's a European mountain race. That just gets it more coverage as well, similar to our time zone, rather than something that's over further east. Yeah, interesting one. Let's see what happens. I think they probably need to sign up to be part of one of the bigger series. Last bit of news: New Balance signed Mont Blanc Marathon de
Yeah.
Mont Blanc. Taken over from Salomon there. Positive. Good to see. They only sponsored one event that I can think of. They had some involvement with, was it Leadville or something back in the day? And people always think of like New Balance's Anton and the Minimus back
Yeah.
in the day. And did you see on his Instagram a couple of days ago, he posted that he found 5 or 6 brand new pairs of New Balance shoes and like $50 a pair. Shoot me a DM. I thought that was, how do you forget that you've got like 5 or 6 brand new pairs of New Balance shoes? Where's he keeping these shoes?
It's not as if he's got a huge house either. Like, I remember watching the 15 minutes with Anta. Do you remember that? Do you remember that documentary? And he was going in, and he was like kitchen shelves on the top, and he was opening the kitchen shelves, and the shoes were falling out of them. Like, so
That's
they could have
right.
been on top of the shelves. They could have been on top, and he didn't see them.
We feel like Anton lives a minimalist lifestyle, regardless of him now being in a permanent property. Yeah, I had a giggle about that. But New Balance taking over sponsorship there, I think is a good one. Sold out. A lot of the races have filled up. I was considering something there, but I wasn't able to commit to it. They had their athlete summit there at this year's race, which again a lot of people don't really see too much about it because they're not creating the content that a Terex are doing or Hoka or Salomon or whatever. Like they kind of, I don't know what. There's something not making the headlines with New Balance, but I guess maybe I keep a closer eye to it just with Irish VK man Zach Hanna being one of their athletes. So I maybe see a little bit more than your average person, but I think they're missing a trick in terms of marketing and advertising and stuff.
Definitely, because that's it. I'm the very same. The only reason I'm kind of showing any kind of interest in New Balance as a brand is because of Zach Hanna. Like, you know, I like to see how Zach's doing. I'm glad he's with a brand like New Balance. But New Balance definitely over the last 2 or 3 years are pumping a lot of money into their trail shoes and into their athletes on the trail side. So it's very positive, I think, moving forward. And then like that, they just need something to like help the brand pop on the trails, like Terex, like Solomon, like, you know what I mean, like even Craft. I think Craft are actually doing a really good job on socials, and I'm not even a big fan of Craft shoes, but I like what they're doing on socials, and I'm seeing more of them, you know, and New Balance probably need that as well. But again, coming with Martin de Mont Blanc, like that's only going to be good for the brand anyway, you know. And it wouldn't matter, like people won't. I don't know, even if people don't know that it's been sponsored by New Balance, it's still Martin de Mont Blanc. It's still an epic race, so it's only going to be good for the brand.
Yeah, Craft are like the inverse. Craft have way better social media and marketing than they do shoes. So
Good gear. I will say, like their gear is good. You know, I've never ran in their shoes, so I don't know, but they do make good gear. They have done, and they're well regarded in Scandinavia. Like my brother lives in Norway, man. He pretty much
but
lives
that's for. I have a pair of cross country ski leggings, and they're Craft, and they're brilliant. But no, we're talking about shoes, and the shoes are mostly shite. Like that Pure Trail thing that they launched to UTMB 23. That was terrible. And they just launched a marathon shoe for New York this weekend. So
yeah, it's a cool looking shoe. I think you had a picture of it, but I've seen it before that as well. Yeah, it looks a nice shoe, looks a cool shoe, but I have no idea what it's like. I haven't heard what it's like. So, but it's a brand that are trying. You know, they're trying to move up.
10 out of 10 for effort. It's like us. 10 out of 10 for effort. And I'm glad that audio. And thank fuck the dogs didn't kick off again. But I knew that was a risk. Fireworks in the city. And the dogs are out there with no mother tonight. So it was just like, lucky dip. Is there gonna be a firework? But anyway, look, Ricki, great to chat with you, mate. Appreciate it. Good luck for Tullymore. I don't think we'll have a show again before then, but you never know. to our viewers, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us. Hopefully the audio was good enough. I'll get it up on Spotify or whatever over the next few days. And stay tuned for the next show, because the live shows are going to be a thing. Because why the hell not? So, Ricki, catch you later, mate.
2 thumbs up.
Fireworks. Amazing.